And right now, I've got two men. Two men with a gut full of fear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Welcome to the Mad Max Minute. It's the ball cracker, death on film. You know it, you love it. It's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, 1 minute at a time. I'm Rick.
And I'm Julia.
And today we're talking about minute 29, which begins with more chanting from last time, and it ends with Blaster entering Thunderdome. And right now, we've got two guests from the Minute Impossible podcast, Jonathan Howell and Chris Ramirez.
Hello.
Chris, are you on my shoulders or am I on yours?
I'm bigger, so you would probably be on mine.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't know. Maybe you're bigger now. I don't know.
No, you're. I think I'm probably bigger.
I think we're about the same size.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Get up here.
We'll take turns. We'll take
All
turns.
right. All right. Hand me my mic. I'm so high up here.
Yes, you are. Oh, I don't speak. I just go.
Yeah, you just go.
Just don't bump your head on low doorways, because that can always be pretty treacherous.
We can do the that big we can get a big trench coat now. We can go pretend to be a big guy.
Oh yeah, we can go into adult movies now.
Exactly.
And only have to buy one ticket.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for having us. We're really really appreciative.
Yep, it is Wednesday. We are storming our way through this week, and at the tail end of Monday's minute, Dr. Dealgood started up something. He said, 2 men enter, 1 man leave. The crowd repeated, and the first 15, 20 seconds of this minute, I think, is just us looking around Thunderdome, listening to people chant. Mm-hmm. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
We didn't really talk about it in the last episode, but this is one of the top 5 sayings of modern movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Top 5.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I mean, there are probably people there's a new generation out there that probably has not seen this, but...
No, to them, Mad Max is Tom Hardy, so you know. Actually, Mad Max to them is Charlize Theron, which is even funnier.
As far as movie chants are concerned, this is definitely one of the top on the list.
Wait, you're categorizing this by movie chants? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Name your other
Movie
4
chants,
top movie chants.
Well,
Attica.
I know I've got a few favorites. If you guys think of any, feel free to call them out, because I'm very interested. If you've got some favorites, let me know, because I found some guy posting on Reddit under the R Movies section, and he has his top 3. One of those being the chant that the people trapped in that big old pit in The Dark Knight Rises. They chant to help Bruce climb out. There's also the chanting of the cultists, the Kali cultists in A Temple of Doom, Kali Ma and all that stuff.
They're like, la, la, la. Yeah, it's like a high pitch. They're just kind of wailing kind of thing. That's a good one.
Yeah, I've got some personal favorites of mine. If you have ever watched Bloodsport.
Oh, yeah.
The theme song to Bloodsport, Fight to Survive by Stan Bush, has this chanting element where the background singers are just chanting Kumite.
Kumite, Kumite.
It's so awesome. I love it so much. As crazy as the author of that movie is, Frank Dux or whatever his name is, as crazy and totally off the wall as he is, that movie is awesome.
That movie is fantastic.
A Van Damme classic.
It's a Thunderdome.
Going away from the fighting tournament movie into a different type of tournament, you've also got the quack chant from the Mighty Ducks series. Mm-hmm. Quack, 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 quack. And then they go and they got the flying V. And it's
starring the star of our movie, Emilio Estevez.
I am surprised that no one has started a Mighty Ducks Minute.
There is one
podcast.
There is one.
There is?
It's not Minute. They watch the movies, and there is one. I follow it on Twitter. Shout out to that, whatever the name of that is. I'll have to put it on. I'll actually put it out on Twitter when this episode airs.
Sounds good.
But yes, there is a Mighty Ducks. It's not a minute by minute podcast per se, but they talk about the Mighty Ducks all the time. I'm sorry I can't be more specific. I was not prepared for this. A good one for me, Galaxy Quest, Larak Taroth, Larak Taroth. The Maktar chant of strength. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Special shout out to Galaxy Quest Minute.
Yes. Chris, what's your favorite chant?
Probably this one more than anything. I use it all the time.
I do too.
I did it the other day at work, and these kids that I have working for me look at me like, what? I was just like, oh God. Oh my God. I was like Mad Max. They're like, oh yeah, that was awesome with Charlize Theron. And I'm like, no.
That's not until next season.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, that's a good one, but no. I'm like Mad Max before Fury Road. They're like, there were Mad Max movies before that? It's like, no.
Mad Max when Mel Gibson could do no wrong.
Exactly.
Back before we knew just how mad he was.
But of course, a lot of these people 15 years ago, 18 years ago, so, they were this was like way before this movie was.
Yeah, really.
Chris works at a baby Gap.
I manage a baby Gap.
Since when does Gap employ actual babies? That's so weird.
Oh, it's a new thing
That's
that
how
they're
you-
doing here in Texas. Only babies, and it's hard to yell at,
The first 10 seconds of this minute, we get 3 chants as we're just looking up at a low angle at the different people hanging on the dome. At about the 10-second mark, we shift over to look more directly at Auntie. I want to point out that the guard sitting behind Auntie over her right shoulder, to try and get my directions straight here, that's the guard that ruined Tun Tun's saxophone. He's the one that shot the arrow, missed Max, and then got flipped like a chump into the table, and he still gets to sit in her private box.
Wow, Auntie is very forgiving.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't know he's the same guy. They do look. She and the guy behind to the right of her look exactly the same. So,
or he could be her boy toy. You never know.
oh, you never know.
He's not bad looking. It could just be a looks thing. Maybe she wants all of the good looking guards hanging out in her penthouse, and that, yeah, he screwed up, but she's not gonna banish him to underworld guard duty.
Yeah. Fun fact: that is Chris Hemsworth's grandfather.
We know he survives this movie.
It's funny. I think Auntie looks absolutely regal in this shot as she is sitting there in that zipline chair of hers, looking out over the proceedings. She is like total queen in this shot.
I think she looks cautiously satisfied. She looks pretty comfortable there. I love that her throne is the same chair that brought her down from the penthouse. That's fantastic. Yeah, she looks pretty happy sitting there, but not really relaxed.
That's what I was going to say. I'm so happy we get to talk about this chair because,
Yeah.
one, it's the only chair in Thunderdome, which is great because it's a chair that she literally had to bring with her. And they also created the set design on this is like, okay, so Auntie presides over this in some sort of box like an emperor. How are we going to get her to it? They're like, well, we built this 18-story thing. Let's have her come down on a zip line
down.
It's so cool and so weird. Oh, I love it.
And I love it to the 2-man enter, 1-man leave thing. She's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, this is my house.
You can tell that as long as people are chanting that her position is secure. Like, she's listening to all of these people say that, and she's like, yeah, as long as they have the bare necessities that they need and these little distractions to keep them from becoming unsatisfied, that Auntie is secure. Like, they love her because she lets them have things like this. She's like, yeah, 2 men enter, 1 man leave. That's my thing. Nothing to worry about.
She's also rocking
she
the
has
hair and her outfit is just,
Yeah. I mean, she does have something to worry about in this fight specifically because she's betting on a horse in this race.
Right.
It's interesting that you pointed out that it's the only chair in Bartertown, which is true except for Master's
Like saddle?
saddle chair thing.
Blaster is a chair.
Yes. So the only people who ever get to sit down and enjoy their power, perhaps, are Auntie and Master.
Oh man, how much do you think Auntie wants to find a guy that's like bigger than Blaster so that she can have someone else to ride on? Like, maybe that's the whole thing. Maybe it's like she uses Master's arrogance as a shield.
She did find Max.
And she's just really jealous that she doesn't have someone to give her
I think we found a role for Tim Capello.
No, she'd fall right off him. He's so oily.
There's nothing to hold on
Right
to.
off.
She'd put her legs around him and she'd start swinging around him like a pendulum.
Not if he had like a saddle or something.
I think Thunderdome, instead of not only being a Hemsworth genetics experiment, is they're trying to find someone bigger so that Blaster can sit on someone's shoulders, and then Master can sit on someone's shoulders. So we got like Master, Blaster, Flask.
Some sort of big, fleshy wasteland Voltron.
Yeah, we need it's like a meat Voltron.
That's so wrong.
The worst kind. A beige Voltron.
So awful.
That is awful.
Sounds unsavory.
It really does.
Oh, it does. So crazy.
From Auntie sitting in her chair, very resplendent, we cut back down to the ground level of Thunderdome, and we're looking at Dr. Dealgood from behind. And I love this shot in particular because everyone's chanting, and then he silences them by throwing his hands apart.
They're very responsive to that. That happened in the last minute, too.
Yeah, it gives the sense that this is nothing new to them and that this is the sort of pre-fight ritual that they all get to chant, and then he calls it off, and then he keeps talking. There's so much spectacle to it, and I love it.
Well, because he's about to say his line. He's about to say the line we're going to hear here in a second. And it's the let's get ready to rumble. So when he comes out, when he comes out and that microphone comes down, everyone's like, everyone quiets. Because they know the line is about to be said.
That move reminds me of Saturday Night Live. When in the very beginning opening monologue, the guest host comes down the stairs and they shut the music off. And there are some people who do it theatrically just like Dr. Dealgood does. And the band is incredibly responsive, like the crowd is.
I've always wanted to do that and have never had the opportunity. I would love to come in and fist close down from the sky and be like, bam, and just, do the fist pump down and have the band end on my jump. It's never happened. I can't even get my children to listen to me, much less.
That should be one of those experiences that you can go into a facility and rent. There's a band there and you can go in and shut the band down however you like just to have that experience.
I think that 30 Rockefeller Center should have the band from Saturday Night Live just come in on some days, maybe in the off season. And so those NBC tour groups that get to go through, they'll just have this thing where, give them 50, 75, $100. They can charge whatever they want. They're SNL, but just give people the opportunity to walk out that door and signal the band to stop playing. And then that's part of your NBC tour experience.
I was just on that tour last year. It's awesome. I wish that was the end of it. How awesome would that be? And they have not Don Pardo, he's dead, but they have what's his face?
It's Daryl
Hammond
now.
there.
Daryl Hammond.
He's just on retainer, and he would just say your name, Jonathan Howell. I'd come out and I'd say, you guys might know me from Minute Impossible, and there'd be like a woo, and I'd it'd be a whole thing. It'd be so awesome.
The rest of your tour group is just in the seats in the crowd.
Yeah.
Just golf clapping. Yay.
Yes.
And then they're all looking at their watches when is my turn? I want to get up there and do that.
It'll be the longest tour ever. Everybody gets 5 minutes to do a little mini monologue.
Did everyone bring their monologues? Yes.
That's the VIP tour.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the VIP one.
If that was the case, they just give you an option. Okay, do you want to do Alec Baldwin's third time hosting? You got Steve Martin's hosting thing. You pull the cards and then you get to read the same monologue. And so good. That'd be good. My gosh. We need to get back into the minute. So Dr. Dealgood has ended the chant and he starts back up again. He says, and now I've got two men with a gut full of fear.
Okay, I've got a problem.
Okay.
Neither of these men have guts full of fear.
Well, they may not look like they have guts full of fear.
Okay, well, this is ostensibly...
Mel Gibson is afraid of a
Blaster's-
certain sect of religion taking over the world.
Ostensibly, this is Blaster's 21st time in Thunderdome. He is not afraid anymore. And we have seen, this is the third movie, and we've seen time and time again that Max just isn't afraid of stuff.
It sounds so good, though.
Yeah, because it rhymes with
this
here.
sort of thing.
So he has to say fear, because what else do you say? You got to get to that line.
Yeah, well, Dr. Dealgood, the next line, he's going to drop the rhyming scheme anyways
Yeah.
when he introduces Blaster.
Sure.
Disappointingly.
Well, see, the problem with having a gut full of fear is that fear is the path to the dark side. So, although if you're in a fight to the death, you probably want to be on the path to the dark side anyway, but that's beside the point.
You might as well.
Fear
at
is
that
the
point.
little death. There's so many minutes.
Le petit mort. Anyway, Edwin Hodgman, the way he delivers this next line, the whole ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here is... his delivery, I would say, is objectively perfect. There's no subjective opinions here. That whole, from ladies and gentlemen to dying times here, that chunk is objectively perfect.
It is.
I agree.
And I will fight anyone who says otherwise.
To the death?
In the Thunderdome?
Not to the death, because, I don't want to get in too
To the
much
pain.
trouble. Yes, to the pain. So that way, when they walk down the street, women and children will look at them, recoil in horror, and say, "Dear God, what is that?"
We're jumping all over the podcast minute here, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the Princess Bride Minute.
Yes.
Exactly.
One detail about this shot, especially when we're really up close on Dr. Dealgood's face where he ends that line. Most of the time, my eyes are on Dr. Dealgood, but in this shot specifically, if you look past him and past his scepter thing, you can see Auntie perfectly framed up in this shot. Like the way that the camera moves up on him and the way it ends. Oh, you can see her there.
Chris, is it a split diopter?
Let's see. Let me look at it real quick.
Ooh, are they both in focus?
I'm looking at it. Let's see.
Sorry, mine's having issues. Oh.
No, they're out of. She's out of focus.
Okay.
but she's right there over it. Yeah, no, it's not a diopter.
It's not a split diopter shot.
No.
Nope. Now, Julia, you looked up a bunch of stuff about Dr. Dealgood's staff, right?
Yes. I actually didn't notice anything else about this moment because I was so focused on that stupid staff. And I call it stupid because every minute this week you can see the staff, but the perspective on the staff matters a great deal. How you see it, it looks completely different. So at very first, I thought it was like an old school microphone, but then I got a more clear look at it. It looked like feathers or wings sticking out each side, but in this moment, we get a really good shot of it. I believe it is wings sticking out either side of like a central hoop that's sitting on top of a ball. So that's kind of the imagery that I went with. Unfortunately, this, from what I could find on the internet, this most resembles, hopefully I pronounce this good enough, the Reichsadler, which is the Nazi symbol of the eagle carrying a wreath in its talons with the swastika inside, and which in profile makes it look like a ball that the eagle is sitting on with its wings sticking out either side. So that's, that's what it looks like.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it goes all the way back. You said something about,
Yeah, the Nazis didn't come up with this symbol. Like, they didn't come up with most of their stuff.
Yeah.
They took it from somebody else. They took the Reichsadler from the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So it's much older than the Nazis.
As far as fascist imagery goes, it's old school.
It is.
The whole wings and the ball and things like that. Every time I look at the top of this staff, the only thing I can think of is the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, that's what it
because
looks like.
it's wings coming out of a tire.
Yeah, wings out of a tire. That's all I see.
Julia, you seem like the kind of person that likes someone to be prepared and likes to dig deep and find these amazing little nuggets out there.
Here comes Jonathan.
I try.
I know where this staff is from.
The staff of Ra.
Oh.
I know so much about this staff, you're going to want to divorce Rick
Oh.
and move to Chicago.
Okay.
Oh, I think we got a Thunderdome thing happening here.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are going to have to fight in Thunderdome over her.
No, just about this fact, about this staff.
okay.
I found a place, and you guys can go there too. It's the madmaxmovies.com/forum.
Oh, we love that
Yeah,
place.
we live there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You've been there. I found some of this information there. Dr. Dealgood's staff is a prop from an earlier Kennedy Miller production.
Oh.
No kidding.
It is.
Oh.
It is the staff used. Okay, let me find. There's a lot of
the staff used
Australian
by
stuff
Babe?
involved here. They Bing.
Pig in
Yeah,
the
let me
City?
go Bing this.
Babe Pig in the City. That's
Oh.
where it's from, right?
No, Pig in the City. Yes, that'll do. Pig, and he's holding the staff.
He's holding the staff.
Excuse me. In the 70s, there was a dismissal of a prime minister named Malcolm Fraser. During all the scenes in the Parliament that George Miller did this movie, he directed this movie, that was the staff they used. And the set designer was so mad that it got repurposed in this movie. It was a piece of used set from a movie. The only person you'd know from this movie, I went and looked it up. It was a TV movie in Australia about the 70s. It wasn't in the 70s, but it was about the 70s. And it starred John Melian, who played Wally from the Crocodile Dundee movies. He's the only person I could find that I could even trying to equate 80s movie to 80s movie. He was the only one I could find. So this staff is you're right in that it probably is something based in a governmental. You're spot on because this was used. when they would go into Parliament, they would carry this staff and like tap it on the ground.
Oh, that movie had Bill Hunter from Strictly Ballroom in it. That's cool.
So yeah,
Good find.
All right.
this was my find of the day. So Rick, move on over.
Yeah.
I'm joining.
You've earned your keep.
We're gonna start doing the Mad Max Minute.
I don't know. You used Bing. That kind of disqualifies.
No, I don't use that. That's crazy. I use Lycos.
Oh, I see. That was it was a TV series, wasn't it, Jonathan? The Dismissal?
Yes.
There was also an episode directed by Philip Noyce, who directed Dead Calm, which was also written by Terry Hayes, who wrote this.
Yes.
So there you go.
It's all
Very
full
cool.
circle. It's
It
all
is
Yep.
Well, they're
all-
all Australian people,
Yeah.
so of course, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was surprised I found this because I was like, there's no way anybody knows where this stupid staff is from.
George Miller did.
I looked on the Mad Max wiki and Mad Max movies and all that stuff, and nobody said anything about it.
You know what I looked up? The way I got it was I typed in Dr. Dealgood staff. And I was
That's exactly what I typed in.
oh.
But did
Okay,
you use Bing?
So I'm looking at the IMDb page for The Dismissal, the
that's where I
1983
was
TV
too just now.
miniseries. Do you recognize the name at the top of that list, Max Phipps?
Yes.
No.
I recognize the name.
Because Max Phipps was the toady in Road Warrior.
The toady, yes.
Oh, well, I assume everyone in the movie, I mean, if it's an Australian production, I assume almost all these actors were also in Mad Max.
That and
You're not
Neighbors.
wrong.
This was a windfall for the Australian acting community in the 80s.
Go around and say, oh, I was in a Mad Max film. Oh, you're from Australia. Everybody from Australia was in those Mad Max films for a while. Sure, there's a Hemsworth in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's inside the guard standing behind Auntie right now.
Also in that movie was assistant director George Ogilvy, who played Senator Jim McClelland.
Oh, man.
So there's that. Tim Burns is in there as a guy named David Smith. So Johnny the Boy survived and then became David Smith. So that works.
You walk with a limp.
That would have been excellent. I feel like Tim Burns should just always play characters with a limp.
Yes.
Like, oh, what happened to your ankle there? Oh, I had a run in with a handcuff.
You guys definitely put me to shame on that because I only knew the one guy who was in Crocodile Dundee. That shows the level of movie knowledge I have about this. I'm like, hey, look, there's Wally.
So Jonathan's next thing is the Crocodile Minute.
We still have yet to watch a Crocodile Dundee movie.
I watched that movie as a kid all the time.
But we haven't watched one in relation to this project.
No, we
It
haven't.
came
Not
out
yet.
after this one. It came out a year later.
No, but it came out the same year in Australia, though, which is interesting.
It is, and I think that is probably, I think the reason why that movie did so well here was because Thunderdome came out. We saw Thunderdome and we're like, oh, Australia's awesome. First of all, is this how it is? And then second was, oh, there's another Australian movie. This guy seems charming. I think there was a love affair we had in the mid 80s with Australia. I still like Australia. I'm just going to go on record now. I still like Australia.
If it gets any worse here, I'm moving to Australia. Let's put it that way.
These movies came out so close. I think one helped the other. I think Thunderdome had the gravitas and the pedigree. And then Crocodile Dundee was this, goofy, dumb movie. Don't even get me started on what's Paul Hogan. I'm not a fan. I'm anti-Paul Hogan and anti-Mel Gibson. I will go on record for that, too.
So you're anti-Australian is what you're saying. You're telling us now you're anti-Australian.
I love the Hemsworths.
Because you're against the Hemsworth and the Hugh Jackmans.
And his wife from Fast and Furious.
And then Naomi Watts's.
All right, well, let's put away the shovels before you guys dig yourselves all the way through to Australia and find yourselves in trouble.
I told you I'm moving to Australia. That's that simple.
As the minute continues, we transition from looking at Dr. Dealgood to looking at his assistants, the Tweedles, as I'll call them. And they are motioning towards the door of the Thunderdome because Dr. Dealgood has started to introduce the first competitor. And there's something about these Tweedles that I noticed. The blonde one is always smiling with her teeth, and the brunette one doesn't smile as much, and it makes me wonder what their story is. Like, why are they hanging out with Dr. Dealgood?
They remind me of in Guardians of the Galaxy when they go visit the Collector.
Oh, his assistant. Yeah.
He has the women who are like servants.
Like the purple ones, right?
Yeah, the purple ones. They remind me of them.
Like they're sort of like indebted to him or something?
Like enslaved lovely assistants.
Yeah.
Okay, my take on it is Dr. Dealgood is actually a dentist.
What?
And
Okay.
between the two women, there's only one good set of teeth. So he has put them into One of them. And the other one can't show her teeth anymore because there's...
So they switch them back and forth on alternate
Maybe.
days?
Oh, yeah, they borrow the teeth. Yeah, they're
Oh my gosh.
but they're real teeth. They just go in there. So
Yes, Batman Forever.
today...
So they're like the Fates.
Okay.
Right. So, right.
One set of teeth between them.
Yeah, well, the teeth that tell the future.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, going back to the Batman thing, they're also very sugar and spice as well.
Okay. I think this is probably the first time that, what was that, Batman Forever has been referenced on this podcast.
That's because we do not talk about Batman on this podcast.
We try not to. I've already done it once this week.
Yes, you did. And I allowed it.
Branching out into the Tommy Lee Jones version of Two-Face might be a bridge too far, though. I appreciate the deep cut, but you're walking on thin ice. So, Dr. Dealgood, like I mentioned, he's introducing Blaster. And as the lovely assistants motion towards the door, Dr. Dealgood says, he's the ball cracker, death on foot. And, you know, I feel like you can't blame Blaster for cracking balls because he just doesn't realize how fragile they are.
Do you think they're talking about genitals?
Well, any sort of ball, really. You might give Blaster a cue ball or some sort of, you know, tennis ball or something, and he'll just put it in his hand and it'll just crumble to dust because he just doesn't realize that he needs to handle them delicately. And if they are talking about the other definition of ball, I think we just discovered a worse option than Blaster kicking you in the face.
Yeah.
You want foot in face? Nuh-uh. You want foot in groin? No, definitely not that either.
It makes me wonder why Blaster doesn't just go for that tactic in the Thunderdome. He doesn't need weapons. He's got very powerful legs, and if he knows how to use them, he's all set.
You mean he's got legs and he knows how to use them?
Exactly. We know what ZZ Top was
He
singing
just
about.
incapacitate Max and then bash his skull in.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, so not only did Tupac do a song about this, ZZ Top, that's what that song is about?
Yeah, exactly.
It's about this movie?
Apparently.
Huh, who knew?
I
had no idea.
Well, they do have post-apocalyptic beards now that I think about it. So, yeah, it all
And
makes
most
sense.
of their videos take place in the desert.
Same.
So, yeah.
Not nearly enough, though. Not nearly enough. Not for my taste, though. But anyway, Dr. Dealgood continues the description. After saying death on foot, we get another shot of him, and he's got his arms wide, and he says, you know him, you love him, he's Blaster. And the crowd cheers. They adore Blaster. He's like the town mascot.
Well, because he gives them
Do
what
they,
they love.
though?
He gives them the death.
Yeah, I think they only love him in the context of Thunderdome. I think every other time, and frankly, probably even now, they're just afraid of him.
You mean he's not like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
No.
Well, you know, it's
The
interesting.
Rock is a national treasure.
He's
And
franchised
this is
Viagra.
just
We love him.
Blaster.
We're big
Franchise
rock
Viagra.
fans over at
Yes, we are.
our podcast. He has not
you know,
been in a
it's
Mission
interesting
Impossible
because
movie
as
yet, but he would make it better.
Yet.
So would Blaster.
You know.
I can dig Blaster.
As we watch this again, you know, and again, I bring it up again, hence the Hemsworths. But this movie, I mean, Thor Ragnarok really took this scene and like blew it out like 1,000 times and made it a big homage to this scene. I mean, it really is this introduction because Jeff Goldblum isn't as cool as Dr. D here in this scene, but he's giving it his all to intro Thor and the Hulk the same way.
Oh my. I am a little embarrassed that I didn't even think about Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
When I was watching this scene.
Because I mean, Goldblum's intro to the Hulk is you know him, you love him, and you're incredible
Hulk.
Exactly.
So good. Oh,
Yeah.
Ragnarok was such a great movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think in the case of Hulk, though, the people really do love him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're not afraid of him because he's never used to intimidate or threaten other people.
Okay, that's a good point.
He's
yeah.
there purely to fight and entertain.
Entertain, exactly.
And the collector has a
Blaster.
melty stick.
The staff, a melty stick.
So the staff. Yeah. It's Chris, I think you've hit on something.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that kind of bothers me about the people cheering Blaster is the implication that he's been in the Thunderdome like 20 some odd times. And I feel like based on what we know because of prior viewings of this movie, as far as, you know, what we know about Blaster, it is really a mark against Master that he would send Blaster into the dome that many times.
Yeah, this goes back to what Julia was saying. If Master can just use him as his, like, pick a fight and send him in, that's unfair.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to have a moment in a minute a couple of weeks from now, because there's so much fighting ahead of us, where Master is going to be very remorseful and apologize to Blaster for making him do all these things. And it's like, I don't think he ever felt that sort of remorse before that point. And I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to like burn up good content, but it's not making Master any more sympathetic. The fact that he uses Blaster this way.
It's a heel turn for his character, definitely. You're supposed to, I mean, he does some awful things at the beginning of this movie to both the main character and to Blaster. And then by the end of the movie, he's on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
We're supposed
That's
Very
a question
confusing.
we have too.
We're supposed to be like, oh, we're
He's
all
on our
good.
side?
We're all good with him now. Really? He's kind of a jerk. He killed a child, basically.
Yeah.
Blaster is a child. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But for the time being, at least everyone is still having a good time. Everyone is still in high spirits. They're cheering on the people's champion here. And Blaster entering and walking into the Thunderdome is really how this minute wraps up. So let's pause for here. We're going to wrap things up for today. We've still got one more minute to do on Friday where we'll come in. Dr. Dealgood has one more person to introduce to this little contest, and we'll talk about that the next time around. The Mad Max Minute podcast is a fan project by Rick and Julia Ingham.
The Mad Max franchise was created by George Miller and Byron Kennedy, is presented by Kennedy Miller Mitchell Productions, and distributed by Warner Brothers.
Mad Max Minute is produced and edited by Rick Ingham. Our opening music is Verdi's Dies Irae by Daniel Batista of danielbatista.com. And our outro music is We Don't Need Another Hero by MilitiaVox of militiavox.com.
Our home on the internet is madmaxminute.com. You can follow us on Twitter at madmaxminute, like us on Facebook by searching for Mad Max Minute, and join our Facebook listener group, Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone.
If you'd like to support the podcast, visit madmaxminute.com, where you can check out our TeePublic storefront by clicking the store link, join our Patreon by clicking the support link, or make a one-time donation by clicking the donate link.
Thank you for joining us for minute 29 of Beyond Thunderdome. We'll see you next time.
Everybody